Alright. Hello and welcome to Bug Free Productions. Whoops, there we go. Hello and welcome to Bug Free Productions, where we got hopefully fixes to all your bugs. I hope everybody's bug free at the moment, but if that's not so, maybe this stream will help you fix that. As always, remember to drop any questions or anything in the chat, or if you're watching this live, not live, if you're watching this on YouTube at BFD or at Bug Free Productions, comments, probably that as soon as I can. Looking at making some shorter, more straight ahead stream that we've been doing so far. Probably I'll plan that out a little bit later and start it soon. But currently, I'll be looking at, as it says today, finishing firing 3. Just gotta keep working on that firing. 2 reasons why. One, it's functional, it doesn't look anything. And second, I'm still working on that rotation script for gravity zoning, and it's going very poorly at the moment. Couple of reasons for that. It's just so I have the zoned gravity working, force zoning working, It's some of the automatic kinematic rotation alignment I'm having issue with. Um, because it's rotating, well, just because it's rotating, and rotation is hard sometimes. Because if you go every 360, it's like, well, I gotta rotate this way now. And uh, so I'm working on that, and then we'll probably start attaching to some dash and some energy motion usage we've set up in previous videos. So if you're looking forward to that, hopefully that starts soon again. Where we focus on the movement again, and we still haven't really touched much of the interface. There's been a couple videos. Actually, I need some of that because part of the code is broke. Where um, this random didn't save correctly or something. So I'll actually be working through some of my character selection stuff probably as part of the live stream as well. So I'm building off that same system I built on stream, I believe, for the um, scene selection and navigation buttons. We'll just be expanding that. So if any of those sound interesting to you, we have twitch.tv if you want to watch them live, Jib at BFP, or you can check out the video later on YouTube, which 1 to 2, 1 to 2 days later. So that's usually pretty good. Um, to people who watch them after after the live on Twitch or YouTube, thank you very much. And yeah, we'll get started here. Be pulling up some Unity, and I also have my Visual Studio. So basically, what we ran through a lot of the other meetings, mostly just it's we got some velocity fix issues where it kept adding velocity, but it never removed it from the start. So it alerted past that point, where it controlled it. So we got that weird discrepancy of like it starts at 1,000 miles an hour and it slows down to 100. So we got that really weird thing. I'm gonna change scenes. The scene I'm working in with the gravity thing. Um, Nothing really going on to show you right here yet. Like not even to show a demo without code. Uh, because it's pretty much showing my inverse schematics and then I'm trying to change it through some cement. Basically I have it so I can rotate to the angle. That would be the gravity. I just can't rotate it to be perpendicular, which I have an idea for how to fix that. Just haven't gotten around to actually trying it or testing it or anything. Um, which is most of the problem. That is just having enough time where I'm not so exhausted I can't program rotation. Because programming rotation for me, some reason, is just more difficult than programming Ping or anything else in Unity. It's including optimization code. It really hurts my brains for some reason. It's very not happy. But enough about future things that I'm working on. Let's get the freaking start scene, test scene of ammunition tests, bullet test. Um, and we're gonna try and get some spawning effects done today. At least spawning effect, I hope. Um, but again, there's probably a bunch of things that I have not yet. which is often the case with programming. You get into something and it's like, I need to do five more steps before this can be done, or I could do it in a very bad way and live with it. And this is a stream that shows you Unity. So we're going to go ahead and go to, we have assets, we have some scripts open over in Visual Studio already. So if you're looking at, I'll probably be working with ammunition, effect, which, how are we looking at? It's a item, so we'll be editing this further. Editing we did last time, kind of set it up to do effect, and wherever that exists. Where does that exist? Should be right. Oh, it's not expanded. Then the region unexpanded, play audio clip at a pose, um, play. So this, since we don't have audio clips set up, so audio clips count, also if audio clips count greater than 0, which also does nothing, 0. So that's great. Um, that's all set up. So this won't actually do anything since I don't have any audio sources or audio sources. Since I don't have any audio clips for the effect sound, um, that's not a big deal. We'll just probably go and look at spawning in an effect, which means we just have particle system. So the prefabs particle system will go right here. And depending on how we want to do that, that'll either be on the object itself, this layer, or it'll be at something else. And I'm actually going to go, I forgot to turn off the music. And if you're new to the channel, the reason I turn off the music on programming is because between me talking to myself and about what to do and explaining everything as we go through the video, there's not a lot of mental space left for music. Probably because I do play music and I'll get distracted. Um, but if music helps you, feel free to turn on any music or anything that you want to listen to. I just can't keep everything so separate. Prod, protected particle system equal null. And then we have factory item, which we didn't really change anything about, I don't think too much. We changed the set active in here to be true, so for use factory item. And hold, what is this? Okay, that's me being bad at reading, but this is fine. This is good because every factory item is going to be set active true on creation or use, rather. Both use and creation because use is called on creation. So we have pool equal AGP being a generic pool, being the pool that we want to be our pool that we add ourselves to, transform.position, and transform rotation. We do this because in an ammunition, like in terms of ammunition, we don't want to do any more than this, but in terms of particle effect system, we might, well, we still wouldn't want to do more than this, but on other objects like the JSON stream I hope to revisit soon, we'll revisit this type of thing and we'll want to pool it, but we won't want all of the objects that are factory items to pool immediately on creation, but we will on those. If you're interested in JSON and saving on PC using the new save system, check out that old Jason stream, which is only like a couple weeks old or something at this point, but um, that's a good one to check out. Factory item poolable, that's just saying that it's a poolable item. Again, if you need to refresh on any of these classes, feel free to read through them or visit the old videos. The pooling set of ones I'm actually really happy with how smoothly they went, or at least I think. If there's something and as always, if there's something you would like me to recover, feel free to leave it in chat or comments or what have you. As I'm not a very social media person at the moment. Protected delay active 3. This is fine. So basically everything past this line is not going to be is not going to be something we're looking at today. So bullet hit effects. This would be something that bullet has a direct, no, not direct, factory item. We're going to need one more class actually, which is right here, generic factory. I'm just going to move that close to the factory item for readability's sake. Create item, pool check, get component. So this does not return an item, okay, but it does create the object and give it the pool to set up itself. So if there's anything we need to do special, being that bullet, so the idea behind this again is to have the bullet hit effect spawn on a bullet collision, unparented from the bullet, so that's a separate object, and then pool back to its factory. Not its factory, its factory's pool. So the bullet hit effect factory will create this factory item and pool it when it's deactivating itself. Which is in base use factory item, not in base use factory item, but play hit effects, and then so we defined a section for coroutines, right? Which is just this comment here. We commented out a place for coroutines. So we want to play the effect and then pool it. And then we want to let it sit and not repeat it. Which is also why we kind of have this particle system reference, because we're not sure yet. At least I'm not sure yet on how we're gonna specifically have to hit play and reuse and whatnot. So, but what we are sure is these are the variables that we will need for that. So let's call this base refs or something. I like regions, so we do little region, and we end a little region down here. Hash end end region. And end region is going to be, so this is basic refs. If I think of a better name, I'll probably rename this, but naming's not always my best, or not always my strongest suit. Quite often it's more pattern design than anything else. I'm really good at putting multiple patterns together, not so well at spelling or naming. I used to be really good at naming, but as I keep going, it's one of those things where you can't push yourself too fast if you want names that are legible, because the faster you push yourself to come up with a name, the worse the name is going to be. That's just the way it is. It's that way with everything. The faster you push something, the worse it's going to be. Usually, there's a few things where that's not true, but serialized field, not gonna be serialized field, is it? One of them is gonna be serialized field. That's gonna be the float. And I usually call this variable delay. So what's the variable that we're looking at? It's gonna be set active false, base pool self, probably be pool delay. Oh, here's a really dumb error. This is not going to be true. Because on trigger enter, oh, yeah, this is bullet hit effect. The hit effect isn't going to do this. It's not even going to have a trigger. That's dumb. I was probably flipping between bullet and that and got a little confused because this should have, well, this won't have pool self because it's not a poolable item. The ammunition's a poolable item. This bullet is just not destroyed with the ammunition. So bullet hit effect, pool self, perfectly fine. But what we're actually going to do is call it in a coroutine so that it delays itself and then hides it and stops play and resets or whatever we end up having to do, right? Float, so this would be something like, so it will be delay, and then what's the name we want to put in front of it, or the variable thing we want to put in front of it. I'd just go pool. Pool or hide delay, which is going to be equal to, I hope I turned this on. Yep. Okay. Whoa! I watch the stream because then I get worried about um I get worried about where we're at in the video or the stream, but then I have a terrible sense of dread when I look at and don't see OBS levels because I'm only on 2 monitors today instead of 3, which is nicer to have. But anyway, we can keep going. So what do I want to set it to? By default, 1F is fine, probably, most likely. And then what else do I usually need for a coroutine setup? So I like delay wait for seconds. So it's probably going to be a protected. Protected. Again, I use protected a lot because I like inheritance and I don't want to redefine variables and redefine functions. I like everything to just inherit and work correctly with modification, which is why I really like the decorator pattern, even though it's, I mean, I guess I do use it a little bit. It could be argued that a lot of the inheritance I use is using the decorator pattern, but it could also be argued the other way as well, so I don't claim that. Float, and we don't want pool time, that's what our pool delay is. It's going to be a wait for seconds type, not a float type. WAIT, wait for seconds. And this is going to be wait. Wait, do wait to pool, pool, which cannot equal a new wait for seconds, even though that autocomplete is what it suggests. I think I actually have to do null, if I want to set a data type. Reason being that a wait for seconds cannot be created outside of the Unity runtime. So when the script, you can think of like when the script starts, it runs all this stuff, and then it starts Unity stuff. So anything that requires Unity runtime is can't really be declared here. At least in my experience, there might be other tools that do work that way. Like Vector 3, for example, doesn't require that. It can be set up that way, but like declared out here. But that also only takes in like a couple floats and it like creates itself, constructs itself as a struct. So, which it's also a struct and not a mono behavior like wait for seconds, I think is. Which I could open up, but we're not gonna dive into that right now. Whole new rat's nest. So we got pool delay, and then we have wait to pool equal null. There is a thing where I see in, was it a coroutine? One cool thing that I like, if I can remember how to do it, protected, is it coroutine? Protected coroutine. So I can make I don't do this, but you can make a coroutine. Say I wanted to call a coroutine, um, say I wanted to make a coroutine that multiple things could call and also multiple things could end. I might consider this. It did make it more legible for the one piece of code I saw somebody use this for, which was a text to speech reader, which was I think it was really cheap on the Unity store and it was actually really usable. I edited some of their code not because because it was easier than using the adapter pattern with what it did. It was kind of hard to make an adapter for it. So I just kind of took out and changed some of the display stuff they had programmed. So it wasn't changing the functionality at all. I just kind of went in there and said, hey, this connects to something different now. Connects to this text box. So coroutine, I think I can just instance of a class that is only used to reference these coroutines and do not hold any exposed properties or functions. Okay, that's probably not how I do that. But yeah, you can store a coroutine in a variable, which is interesting. And given how fragile my experience is with coroutines, I don't know that I'm going to be demoing that today, but maybe some other day if people want to see that. Leave a comment. Uh, leave a comment, leave a chat. So we're gonna keep going. Um, and then down here, so this is the pool delay, this is the wait to pool, which is the wait for seconds. We don't have a method for collecting variables at the moment. It doesn't look like we also don't have an on enable. So let's make those two methods right freaking now. I'm gonna check factory item though. Maybe there's an on enable. How about poolable? Nope. So let's just jump back to bullet hit effect, and we'll look at that. We'll look at some stuff here, and I want my setup to be that. I want it to be having an on enable, most likely. So autocomplete likes this way. So I'll do an on enable, and actually I'll change this to, you can probably guess by now if you're following along, protected virtual void. Virtual void on enable. Protected virtual just so that it's a little more private than public. It's still visible by everything in the project, but not writable by everything in the project. Gives me virtual, so I can override it in a future class. Void enable, because I don't need to return anything, and on enable is a built-in function for Unity, which is called by event system. So we have protected virtual void on enable, and we have something that we can make our so that'll run on the first frame when it's enabled, so when it becomes visible or actionable, uh, in terms of it can start running its own code. So we have on enable, we'll find wait for pool, so wait to pool. So wait to pool equals get component for wait for second, not get component. That's not a real solution to anything. New wait for seconds, get component wait for seconds. I've never seen that actually. Actually, I'm gonna pull that up just so we confirm if I can or can't do that. Pulling up Unity, and we're gonna pull up a plain. I'm just gonna throw it on plain one if it exists. Yeah, it doesn't. It's not a. I don't know why autocomplete decided that was an intelligent suggestion. Which is why you need to check your autocomplete, because it's not always going to be very good or even functional at all. Wait pool equals new wait for seconds of delay pool, which is this, which is also editable. I want that to be protected as well. Not protected. Protected. Reason protected, I don't quite want it private. I could replace it with private and it wouldn't be accessible by something inheriting from this, but if I created a special like class that was, say, explosion effect, it might have some different properties than a simple collision effect. So I kind of want to leave that open so that I can change these types of things to more fit my needs based on the next class I inherit all this stuff from. Again, like I said, it's very based on inheritance and less based on security a little bit. Which protected is still pretty safe because nobody can write to it, but if it was like passwords or something over netcode that I needed to protect, I would use private instead of protected. Because the speed doesn't necessarily matter unless you're fighting an AI or something. Then there's other things you can check for. So hopefully, anyways. Hopefully that isn't made false by the time this is finished recording. But what do we have here? Pool self. That's fine. So then we just need to start our coroutine. So that's a protected. Because we're not going to call outside to start this coroutine, so it's perfectly fine to have it protected. I could make it virtual, i.e. numerator. The name of it, which is going to be, I start with delay, because this is a delay. So delay, and it's going to be delay pool. Pretty simple. Could throw parameters in here if we needed to. We don't really, because all of our stuff is set up by on enable. So we get yield return, which we will need, but So here's before return. So something like, so this happens on call. I don't know why my nose itches so much. It feels like something is literally standing there irritating it. On call. So that happens on call. Then we have our yields condition, yields, return, and then lowercase wait to pool. So I have my new wait for seconds that I don't have to create a new wait for seconds. Because there's, let me actually control X slash that out. So we could do a new wait for seconds, um, which is how a lot of new people will do it. Not super problematic until you hit that 30th time you've used that wait for seconds and you've constructed it, because I believe this is an object and not a struct, if I remember correctly. Doesn't really say up front here, but I believe this is an object and not a struct, which means it takes more processing to make it and calculate it than it does to make structs, which are pretty fast usually. That's why we can do like new vector threes all the time and not necessarily worry too much about the optimization unless we hit a wall. But why when we make objects in Unity with transforms and all that information that we make them seldomly and we pool them if we can, to save on resources. So that's why we make the coroutine ahead of time in the onEnable and then use it here, because nothing's going to call for that wait for seconds until after the object is enabled, due to our logic. What would that be? Our logical execution order. Wait to pool. So once that does, so that's just a reference to that, and then we can do, so this is like post yield. Can't spell for crap, but something like that. Post yield. Yeah, we're gonna do a, what would we do here? So then we would pool self here. So we have our pooling action that is called by some other method outside of here. That's what we like to see. Separation of responsibilities. And it just calls that and runs that after delay. So that's pretty easy. We don't really need to do anything before the call, like on call. We don't need to do anything before the yield. We just need to pool self then. Which, if you remember the bullet problems, or not problems, but the programming of it, it's a good idea to have something that ends the coroutine just in case the object goes deactivated and then the coroutine can't finish. So before I set active to false, I might actually throw in here like, I think it's just stop all coroutines. I always forget. Along with the T, I always forget stop. Stop all coroutines, and that just stops all of them on this object, or rather this class, I think, running on this behavior. So yeah, everything running on this instance of the class is stopped. That is a coroutine. So if I had like 3 more coroutines that were running spaced out from each other to do different things, this would stop all of them and let me continue with my life without destroying my project, which is always nice when it's not destroyed. Not always possible, but always nice. So we have an IE numerator deploy. pretty much talked our way all the way through that. The only thing left is I don't think I've called this yet, which would be a really dumb thing to do and write a whole which would definitely be a dumb thing to do after doing all of this programming is to never call anything we actually made. I've definitely never done that on a project, not one, and definitely not multiple times on every project. Um, so what can we do here? Delay pool. We'd probably want to do it on enable. So the second thing about on enable is that it on enable runs every time we enable the object. So if we really wanted to optimize this a little bit, we could actually throw into something like since we declare it null up here, right? And this would be a good time to create that other method I was talking about, which was collect vars. Virtual void. Collect the vars. Now, some people might be like, oh, this seems like a lot of extra steps. For one line, maybe 2 lines. It's not for the steps. It's not even for the lines. It's not for the on enable. The thing about this is that this runs locally, which is fine because we're just doing split screen multiplayer. When I did networked multiplayer, you would move a lot of this into the on network spawn, um, which means everything that's not in on enable has to be rewritten in on network spawn, because while we can inherit mono behavior into a networked mono behavior, we can't inherit the enable doesn't match one-to-one with the logic uh, of the execution order of a NGO, netcode for game objects, networked mono behavior. Um, so we like to do things separate and keep those in separate methods that can be called in different methods. And also why this is virtual, because if we inherit this, or create an adapter rather, because direct inheritance wouldn't quite work, because we still would need to inherit from network mono behavior. Try not to ramble about that too much, but that was something that took me a long time to figure out, is how to switch my multiplayer, my local player into network player. Is quite a deal. But I forgot. Okay. The next one was just start coroutine. Our start coroutine with the del delay pool, which is line, which I think still needs parameters. And then to really optimize this, we would actually do a null check. So if wait to pool is not null, and actually I wrote that wrong. I want it to be equal null. So if it is null, then I declare and if not, it just doesn't do anything except start the coroutine. So this wait for seconds is all declares. I'll probably have to go back, and that's probably a good thing that I go back and find where else I've done that, and if I make sure I do that if I haven't. Just because it's kind of pointless for it to create a whole new object if the reference already has something in there. It's extra cycles, and while you don't really notice it when you're building for PC builds, you do notice it when you build for mobile builds, and they freak the heck out on you. It's just like total crashes. It's like my renderer has too much RAM taken up. And it's like, okay, thanks for not alerting me, but so, and then let's call it here, because again, if we do all that work, we want to call it and make sure it's used. So we got collect vars, also empty parameters, control S. And what do we got? We're getting it's going a little slow, I know, but I'd rather talk through some of these things and make sure they're covered than forget to cover them. Plus, a little repetition never hurt when you're working on a project to recover what you've just covered. So you remember what you were doing. This looks all good. I think we're ready to flip over to Unity. At least find out what we're missing. Being likely on prefabs, bullet. It's not gonna be in any of those actually. It's gonna be in scripts, I believe. It's gonna be in SCO params. It's gonna be in params. Maybe not. Let's just do a quick search for factory. None that's okay. That is collapsed. Firing factory SCO. Is it in factories? Yeah, it is. So we're just gonna go create. If you missed this, make sure to check out the previous videos that we're like starting on object pooling. Because we did the scriptable object and we made our generic factory, which is very simple but very integral to it. This is gonna be a effect factory. So let's call it bullet. And we will be covering abstract factory probably soon-ish, relatively. Ammo. Oh, and I actually did do this, so maybe I should have. So I did create that. Let's F2, Control C. F2 being the Windows map for rename on a lot of applications. And F2, Control V, Enter. This one being F2. Yeah, it's funny. F2 is rename on like Windows Explorer or File Explorer and some applications. And then Visual Studio is just like hit Control R twice. I don't get that idea, but whatever, right? So bullet effect is hit spark. We can follow hit spark. This is the SFX. So this is the actual effects. And then hit spark is bullet hit effect. Okay, so bullet hit effect is here, and then hit spark is there. Should be kind of sparky. So that should produce a lightning effect. One thing I'll probably do before I get right on that type of thing is to go to plane 1, and I just want to verify that my effect is correct. So This is the spark. So let's just pull that in here. Okay, so that is the right one. If I move it up a little bit, you can probably see better. But you see that electric. Oh no, it's flat. Well, I was kind of hoping for like a 360 and not the flat bottom that you'll see up here where it's kind of flat on the bottom. That's not really going to be what I want, is it? Crikes. Um, let's get rid of that then. Let's just go back to JMO. Should be in here somewhere. JMO assets, easy editor, remaster. FX easy editor, not easy editor, it's that one. Prefabs, and then we're just gonna go, I think what's electric? Shock, a little more shock. Okay, let's go back. That's this third one. So that's the third. What's the deal with that? While importing prefab file assets prefab bullet hit effect prefab file might be corrupt or have missing variant. Oh, that's because I deleted the one thing without. That's a continued shock. It's a continued shock. Continued. That might be fun for later stuff. Whoop. Let's go back. What was that? Actually, I don't remember. This is the part I'm really bad at, is remembering which one I selected. That is the one I selected. So that's a delete. Play. So, and then one of the fun things we'll probably do is parent the electrical spark effect. Um, it would be a totally separate video, but we'd probably parent the spark effect into the other object. So, like, say I hit that plane over there, which is that plane. Probably parent it to that plane so where it hit on that plane would move with it, so that since we're doing a racer and some of our stuff moves very fast, we want the effect to be that it hit the object and not hit in space maybe. So we might, depending on how we want that feel to go, we might do something weird like that. Um, so let's go, let's do that one just to see what it looks like. That's also the wrong one. That's still bad for what our purposes are. Sparks explosion. That's not the electrified or the lightning. So I'm thinking that that's actually more for sparks and not for electric. So I'm just gonna go file back and I have CRX electrical explosion. Where was that at? Electric surface, explosion. So that's right here. I have a prefab of it out here. So what would I want to do? I'd probably want to take and reset his transform, reset, and just use this as is. I'd probably want to go prefab, go back to my assets, go to my prefabs, and just pull that whole cloth in. I'd probably also rename it like so BULLET XPLOSION, something like that. It's probably spelt wrong, but moving on. Assets, prefabs, wasn't it? I should. There we go. And then let's pull that into bullets and pull this guy into bullets. Um, Original prefab. I don't like variant prefabs because unlike unlike when I'm programming my own code, I don't like objects to inherit from each other in Unity. That being prefabs to inherit from other prefabs. I'm not a fan. So yeah, I'm just not a fan. Console, let's go ahead and clear. That's probably fixed now that I've opened that and fixed that. So yeah, it looks like that error has cleared up. Just because that one prefab was listed and now it's not existent. So it didn't want to keep referencing that was causing errors. So we have the explosion, we have all that. What would we have? So particle system here has none. Just grab that from that dude. Maybe? Did I? Is there something else? Like this has a particle system right here. Bullet hits, all of those. What the heck? Hmm. Because you see this should have particle system. It has emission. Clear behavior. Has this already been done for me? Hold on. Is it disabled? Okay, let's go back. Maybe we'll need a little bit of testing because I might not have understood exactly what was meant by some of this easily done stuff. So if we hit play, we should see the explosion happen. Huh. So it disables. Well, that's my script. Let's Let's edit that out a little bit more so we can see what the heck's going on. Let's go 100. For no other reason than I can see what's going on. Play. So that's 100 seconds. That's a little bit over a minute. It does. It disables by itself, and then this disables. Oh. Huh. Well, that's nicer, actually. Then I don't have to deal with it. So that's nice that they have a hit effect in this asset pack that kind of just disables it on that. Clear behavior. Action to execute. Uh, now I'm torn. I really want to, on the one hand, I really want to look at this script right now. On the other hand, I feel like crap pulling it up on stream because I'm not that kind of guy. I'll have to look that up off stream because that looks really useful. And the reason I'm saying that is on destroy, sometimes what programmers will do is they'll take and they'll put a delegate that you can throw to. So basically, a delegate would run all of the methods sharing a similar parameter and call them all at one time, which is good if you build your code without order of execution dependence. The way this is looking, it's got some stuff to it, which looks kind of fun. But it's also, oh, it fade out reference. Okay, no. But yeah, that's just interesting. I'm wondering if there's not something I could add to its on disable or something method. Oh, if I could do a static extension, maybe even. Which static extensions we talked about before too, where it just this is so weird. I'm looking at this. I wasn't expecting there to be that much code in the package that I got. I was kind of expecting it to be like, yeah, there's a script for editing colors and stuff, but I wonder. I'm just curious if I really need, if I could make something better without writing the code to do such a thing. Because we did play. Did it do camera shake? Yeah, it did camera shake. Interesting. So in my play hit effect, I probably also need to go in and change their settings as well, since I'm not going to use that. So no camera shake on this one. But if I was doing like explosions in the area, that might be a cool one because their camera shake actually didn't look terrible. It looked pretty good. Um, I know there's some where I've seen the camera shake and it's just, I mean, I think Unity's starter assets was one of the worst offenders a while ago. To the point where like it wasn't their camera shake, it was their camera bob was just nauseating. Um, so if we turn off camera shake, and then we got camera shake stuff here. If nothing else, I'll show you guys the random depths of this asset that I'm using. And again, that's just JMO assets. I don't remember. What was the name of their package manager? I want to see what's in project. It doesn't actually show me what's in my project. It's so weird. Because I know I have more crap than that. Cartoon. Cartoon Effects Remaster is the one I bought, which is um well, you can view it in the asset store. Gene Moreno. That's small font, but Gene on Unity. That one's looking pretty good. Um, anyway, we'll probably continue my programming and then I'll fix it later if it comes out that I should just use their stuff. Um, because it might be simpler doing that since they already went through all the trouble to make something that's nice and workable. I should probably go back to my main scene, and if I delete this other one now and play this, there should be no camera shake. Is that true? It shakes a little yet. Did I hit the wrong? Nope, that's off. Is that the light animations that make it look like it shake? Camera shake is what the heck? Oh, preview editor. Okay. Still no complaints. Very well laid out. Does it still shake? No. No shake. Looks good. Yeah, I might have to play around with this in the off time rather than trying to fix my other thing, because it might save me more time just using their effects kit. So like I said, I looked at it and it was like, what is it? It's 30 bucks a piece for the packs, and then it was cheaper to get the whole bundle, so I just got the bundle. And yeah, why is clear behavior disable? And then I'm actually just going to delete that again. Delete that. And then bullet hit explosion. Make sure those are changed correctly. Did I screw this up? No, here it is. No camera shake on enable. So then that should be. I can't. Oh, hold. I can't get. Can I? What was the deal with it before? What the frickin'? Yay. Animated lights. Let's just make sure there's nothing in here that I should know about. The camera shake was really cool though. I like that, and it didn't look bad. It just grabs your main camera and does it. So as long as you have a camera tagged main camera, it should work. That's really nice. We're gonna try not to get any more distractions in here. Um, oh, that asset is just nice. Ugh. Sorry to go off tangent, but when you work with as many, like once you work with a few different assets, you get to the point where it's like when there's a difficult one to use, you notice that it's very difficult, and when you get one that's really easy and works kind of nice, you're like, spend too much time with the other ones. Um, okay, so we should be able to. So these are set. This is set. This is in a factory. Um, hit play on that. Let's go to this guy. So this guy happens when he's on Naval, collect bars, does that, start coroutine, delay pool. Um, play hit effect, vector A pose, PS, play round. Alright, so it does this. So this should also be in a wrapper, that is if PS PS is not null, then we do play. And then we have play, control X, control V, control S. And we'll just pull in. So we still need bullet, I think. And bullet should have a factory, hit effect, factory SCO, which is just the name of the generic factory that holds our hit effects. So then we need that on our trigger. Probably we do a spawn hit effect. So if we were making this more adaptable, we'd probably have a part where we'd have like a helper that detects what it hit. Since we're doing really simple, we're not going to do that advanced detection that I did for ground detection. We could even use just a ground detection scriptable object even. Or at least duplicate one and make it material detector. So that like, how would that work? We could use the ground detection to actually just use our setup. Yeah, we could build something to work with the ground detection that just uses a different SCO that has other materials. So we make it like a layer detection, abstract it into layer detection rather than ground detection, and do the naming through the scriptable object instance. Let's start simpler. So instead of deactivating the bullet right away, we're gonna open up a line. We give ourselves some tired yawns. We're gonna give our bullet a create hit effect, which that doesn't quite describe it, but create hit effect, and that's gonna be our hit effect factory. Factory SEO dot Um, what is it? Great item. Great item. Line. Why parameter transform? Could be, we're just gonna go the transform of this object. Being that it's not a big object, and when it hits the other object, it'll be at the same space that the explosion is supposed to take place. If we're really, we can dial that in later, of course, by adding more fields to track transform properties or positions, or yeah, just based on where we're thinking that is. We could get the trigger position as well. But that would give us our transform. So this is good for now. So this will run basically that, and should try this and see if this fixes what we, or not fixes, but accomplishes what we were trying to accomplish. So we should see explosion there, and then go back to our scene so we can see what that H is happening. So why is it console? No reference. Okay. I think there's just some stuff I forgot to set up. Probably the bullet, likely. Um, yeah, bullet doesn't have a factory. So let's do that and run. See if that fixes that, or accomplishes that rather. Still, generic factory SCO doesn't exist anymore. What? DF? Let's look at the code where that is. That is in generic factory SCO. FI equals NGO dot get component factory item. If it's erroring at this line, feel like hopefully that's not day breaking. Let's see about getting some prefab scenes. Is it in scripts? Is it in just search it? I won't remember where anything is. It's too much to track. Factory. Bullet effect factory item. What the heck? What's going on? Bullet hit effect. Nope, not FX explosion. What is Ah, crap. The problem with a folder view is that then you have to go through all the folders. Just search it again. There's probably some like way to click in a way that doesn't make all of that suck. I haven't found it. Bullet hit explosion. That's the effects pack. Lock that, I guess. Go searching for prefabs and bullet. Bullet hit explosion is an object that has a factory item on it. Nope. There we go. You'll see it's working. We'll go back to scene. You notice it's spawning new clones. Oh, because they're not pooling until 100 seconds later. Wow, that's a irritatingly long buffer. Let's hit power. Not power, let's hit play. Let's change that buffer back down. Unlock this. Why is that? Let's do it for 1 second. Let's leave it there. Let's try it for this. Then go back and view what our object's behavior is. It's looking pretty good. And it pools to itself. So, okay, there we go. We have pooled hit effects without sound, mind you, but pooled hit effects nonetheless. And they're cool. This is the happy point. Now we're going to do something that breaks it before we revisit next week. Which is the eternal problem, isn't it? Why is this still here? So this is no longer being accessed. Why isn't this being accessed? That's weird. It must be. Oh, that's the one that's not. Yeah, I'm dumb. This is the one that's not connected with the pooling system. It's just kinda. So if we hit play, blows up, but it didn't run through that first cycle. So although it hides itself, it doesn't have anything to pool itself to. So it doesn't participate. Unlike when we go play and we hit boom, boom, boom. I like that too much, huh? I very much like that. That makes me, yeah. And you'll notice now we only go up to like a couple objects. That works perfectly fine. So that's the beauty of pooling. We can fire how many times a second, and we still only use, this short of space, mind you, not longer space, but we only use the 3 or 4 objects. Four objects, and a few more hit effects just because that timing's off a slight bit. Um, but we want it to make sure that the play clip up point and the play the visual effect is going to last for the whole duration because we want to see it. Could be shorten that up and tighten it up a little bit, of course. Will I do that tonight? Definitely not. So that's all looking good. That's all testing really well. I said save. I said save Unity. No. Oh, it's on play mode. I thought it crashed there for a moment. I'm like, why isn't it saving? Yeah. I think it's funny in 6. At least I think it's in 6 because there's it's not listed as 6. It's listed as like 6 dot a bunch of freaking numbers on the Unity version. They finally changed this so that instead of hitting play and then just staying play but in blue, it puts a stop square up there, which I thought that was very funny. To me, it's funny because it's been like this forever, and now they finally put a stop symbol in there, which I just found funny. We're gonna look at some. So what would we want to do? We could play. If I had sound effects, I'd do play clip up point. I really would, but I don't. We have hit explosions. We have hit effects spec. So what's something else I could do? In 20. Well, we could at least start it in 20 minutes. That being the deviation programming part of it. Because getting into line renderers, I feel like would take more than the time slot. So I think we'll do some deviation type things. Talk about a little bit about rotation and why it hurts my brain. Which we did talk a little bit about when I did the camera rotation and how much that hurt my brain. So we're gonna go ahead and open up our bullet probably. So what's our bullet script look like right now? We have our bullet and we have our hit effects. So where's our on enable? We collect variables. That's all well and good. Oh, this is another case of this being a problem. So every time the object enables, right? Every time this enables, it's going to call this stuff. So I could do 2 if checks, but honestly, what makes more logical sense is if this is going to work at all, or if this is run at all, this should have both things. So I could just do it cheap, lazy. If I don't like the way that auto completed, that's not what I want. RB equal, no. Then we do this thing. And honestly, if the rigid body got set, because this is not a serialized field, the rigid body, then we have to assume that this is also, it's reasonably safe to assume, since we're programming this, that this in fact also needs to be done, or hasn't been done, or has been done. One and the same in this case. There. So fix, not fix, but optimize that a little bit so that that's not running every enable, because a Boolean check is a lot faster. This little null check is a lot faster than this method right here. and that same thing for this one. This probably not as expensive as this, but I don't know the exact numbers on that, so I'm not gonna be precise on that. So fire bullet, ready bullet, and apply deviation. We did set up a class in bullet to compensate for, or not compensate, for us to expand this later. Um, the one I would probably do is, so we pull in the ammunition and ammo. So ammo, I would probably just go to ammo. So first we do rotate, which is transform. Dot rotate, rotate, and I'm not going to rotate that way. With with floats, I'm actually going to rotate using the vector 3 and ammo that we have yet to create. And what would that be? So let's actually take one more step back because we're not there yet. So I would like to create my rotation every time via random, vector 3, okay? So how would I go about that? So this is going to be A, so not A, DEV shift ROT, devrot, we'll set equal to vector 3.0 for now. Now we're going to rand rot in bounds. So we could assign a bunch of individual floats in our ammunition scripts. That seems kind of pointless, mostly just because it'd be a bunch of separate objects instead of one relatively small struct. So in that case, I would prefer to use it in vector 3. Well, vector 3, so I'll take the absolute value and use it positive and negative, and just pick a number between those two numbers using rand range is essentially what my thought process for it is. So let's go to ammunition. Let's go and create a new serialized field. Serialized field. We could add a range in here if we want. The idea being, I probably want it less than 180. So I would probably put in a range, make the range of 180. And actually, if we think about it, so what's the angle we want to shoot at? So I'm facing forward. Do I want to shoot up at 45 degrees? I'd probably be the most extreme end of a shotgun pellet type thing. So I probably don't want to do that. Or that would probably be the maximum actually. So instead of 180, I'm actually gonna go 45. Range. And do I have necessarily a minimum? Probably be negative 45. Oh wait. Nope, can't use range. Haha, dumb. So we'll actually have to clamp that because in order to use a vector 3 doesn't really like range, at least not that I've seen or used it. When I try it, it doesn't like it, so I'm going to assume that it doesn't like it. P-R-O-T, protected. Protected, and this is going to be a vector 3, and This will be the DEV, let's do lowercase, DEVBUL, bull, DEV, bull dev max. We'll instantiate it at, or default it to vector3 0, 0, 0, 0. Meaning if we don't have any metadata, it will default to this. Bullet, okay. Liking it so far, correct? Yeah. So rotate, now I'm gonna set my bounds. Which I set it to private actually, so I need one more thing. I need to set the accessor. Have I set any yet? I've set one. Okay, so it's public vector3, and it's gonna be, just gonna copy that, build up max. And there are probably more accurate and technical ways to get a nicer behavior out of it, but this is a very essentially it's quick. It's not so easy, but I'm gonna like it more than the one I used in the other shooter I made, but it's a goal in programming, is it not? Make something better than what you made the other day, or make what you made the other day better than it was yesterday. One of those two should be the goal for each day. This is gonna be return bool. I probably could have just control pasted there. So we just want to return that. Okay, so bullet. So now we're just gonna kind of rotate. We're gonna rotate around devrot. So this would be 0. So it's not gonna rotate at all. But we're gonna change that now. So we're going devrot dot nope dot x it's equal to, here's where it's fun. So you're doing math. Well, I guess we'll do the hard clamp at 45 first. Actually, I'll probably go up here and, or not, ammunition. Should we do it in ammunition or? Actually, I'll probably throw it in bug tools later. Let's just hard code this one right now. So it's going to equal math f dot clamp. And it's clamping the value of math f dot what was the one? No, it's random. So it's random dot range. Rand range is deprecated. Range is the new guy. And it's min inclusive and max inclusive, I believe. Given values if within minimum range. Floating point values restrict inside though defined by minimum and maximum values. Anyway, I'm not super worried about that as is anyway, just because. So it'll return a new float. We'll use ammo dot bull dev max. This will be dot x value. And actually I want to control x this. Here's the second math I didn't used to use a lot of the math functions. I didn't like math. Still don't like math, but I use them now. Math being the science and not the functions collection here. Mathf.abs. Now, why ABS? If anyone watching has done any JavaScript, you know that user enter for websites it needs to be validated and verified. Well, if we have a designer that comes in here and puts negative into the vector3, we do want it to do what it's supposed to do, which is take in that number and check both sides, get a number between the random, straight value of it, the absolute value. But we don't want it to break, because if we just take whatever number they give us, then we won't have the correct outcome. And actually, this is kind of backwards, which I'll fix in a minute. So we just do the same thing here. So here I want the positive value, right? Because this is the max. Here I want the minimum. So I'm going to use their same float and make it negative. So I'm taking the absolute value of what might already be a positive number and making it negative, and I'm taking the absolute value of what could be a possible positive or negative value and making it the maximum. With that, so that's our range, and then we need to clamp it. So mathf.clamp takes in the value ahead, and then it'll return the value of that clamp between the two things we tell it to, which in this case will be negative 45. So that never exceeds negative 45 degree change, and negative 45, positive 45. This is where I was saying we wouldn't hard code it necessarily, but we would probably not extract this out into something that's on a bullet to bullet basis, but rather a world basis, where we'd say world's maximum bullet rotation, and then give it like vector3 xyz all 45s, or adjusted accordingly in something that's like a master singleton, something like that, master settings somehow, which we could do with the scriptable object reference. It's just it doesn't make sense to have a whole scriptable object sitting there for that reason. I don't think. There might be cases or reasons that somebody might prefer that, but I would not. I would prefer to have this in the scriptable. That's just like, hey, nobody's shooting over 45-degree angles. And then we go Control D and D, because I'm not typing all that crap over and over again. I'm just gonna go why, and I'm gonna ask myself why about 2 more times. Why? Why? Then I'm gonna have about 3 Z's. Really sleepy, like. And we're gonna go Control S, save all up. Control Control-Shift-S, make sure everything's saved. So then apply deviation, and we transform.rotate this deviation here. Okay, so if we flip back over to Unity, we should see, are you ready for it? No change whatsoever, which is what I totally expected. Why did I totally expect that? Because I didn't change my ammunition settings yet. I was just making sure everything still ran and didn't cry about it. So let's go to our ammunition bullets. Where is my back through 3? Here it is. Bull Dev Max. So let's say, let's do 20, 20, 20, and then play. So now we should see some deviation. Yep. So that's how you can kind of get your bloom and your spread effects, that sort of thing. And this is about the point where I quit developing things sometimes and just want to play with it. Because it starts looking pretty and then I forget what I'm doing and yay. Being that there's only like 10 minutes of actual usable time, I think we might actually call it a little bit early because there's absolutely nothing I can even start in 10 minutes here. So as always, if you're enjoying these and like following along, and are finding all these things useful, go ahead and remember to definitely like and subscribe if you're on the YouTube, or hit the follow button on the Twitch. So twitch.tv JIBB at BFP. So that's Jib at BFP. And then youtube.com at Bugfree Productions, where I keep all the YouTube recorded archive, so to speak, of these streams. And if you're interested in catching live, check out the Twitch. The schedule's on there for the 6 o'clock streams, which are a lot of fun. Yeah, I started doing these because I'm not a don't have a lot of time to do prep work, so and that spills over, especially double so for editing. So if this form of video helps you guys uh, learn Unity, that makes me really happy because uh, this is what I can do right now, and I think I'm covering some topics that a lot of the mid-tier stuff is missing uh, on YouTube, which is like you get the base stuff like Brackeys, which is really good for really fresh beginners. But then once you get to mid tier, it's like, well, I got Brackeys and I got Code Monkey, which can be at times a little daunting for a mid-level developer who isn't necessarily like a super amazing programmer just yet, but is kind of like was pretty good and just can't quite get some of the for me it was rotation, but it might be a different topic for you. And as always, if you have a questions or need something that could be made bug free, go ahead and drop that in the comments or the chat live if you drop in to visit. As always, I think with that, we'll wish you and everybody a bug free night. And we'll just, yeah, and we'll get the music to play out here in a minute here.